Hello, everyone. How are you doing? And welcome to another episode of the Dr. Will Show. I am your host, Dr. Will, and this is a long-awaited show for me. I am with the University of San Diego Mobile Technology Learning Crew. And when I say a crew, I mean a crew. Uh, and, and so, everyone, how are you doing?
Great.
Good.
Fabulous.
Thanks for having us.
Well, thank you for being on the show. So for those individuals who are watching the show, would you mind introducing yourselves and then telling them what the center is about?
Sure. Master.
So my name is Kim Cockwell, and I'm a professional learning specialist here at MTLC.
Emily Roth, also a professional learning specialist.
Katie Martin, the Director of Professional Learning.
Diana Cornejo-Sanchez, professional learning specialist.
Johanna Simcoe, Professional Learning Specialist.
And then Katie Wright, also professional learning specialist.
So a little bit about our center. We are a university-based center, and we in the University of San Diego in the School of Leadership and Education Sciences. And we are a research and professional learning center. So we partner with districts who are wanting to use more technology and think about innovations in learning, and we partner with them to help develop systems and structures to make their initiative more successful and support teacher development.
Awesome, awesome. So one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show because of the work that you actually do, because I have found it to be fascinating and very educational for myself, because in leading my one-to-one, I started the school year thinking you went through the training, you got paid for the training, and you get a check every month. So there's just certain things I expected for you to do, but it just didn't happen that way. And so I've had to learn that this is a process and how to work with teachers along that process. So let's just jump into the why for teachers and why the why is so important in making that digital transition. How does a school district walk a teacher through discovering their why, and what are some of the discussions that instructional technologists like myself or coaches should stay clear of?
Really good question. And I think that you hit on it initially with the process, that learning is a process. And traditionally in teaching, we've kind of thought, I get my credential and I start and then I'm ready to go. And we have to understand that, especially today, that learning can't just happen in one place. It's not an event. It needs to be something that teachers are always learning and modeling so that students have the benefit of learning in new ways. And I think that the first part is that we've all gone to school, and teaching is deeply rooted in our beliefs and our experience. And so to change how teachers teach, we have to help them understand the power of technology and how it can connect beyond classrooms, help connect people, and really learn in new ways that are different from how we learned and when we were in school. So that part is really critical to helping teachers understand that it's not something that's just going to substitute for what you've already done, but it's a powerful way to help kids learn in different ways. And I think the other piece is understanding what kids need to know to be successful today and in their future. So no longer are we just perpetuating the traditional education system and learning in ways that we always did. We have to understand that what our kids need to be successful in the future will require some different experiences for them. And I think the second part of your question about what it is that instructional technologists or coaches should stay away from, we have to understand that teachers all come from different walks of life and they have different experiences. So belittling them or making them feel uncomfortable because they don't know how to use a certain technology or because they're not sure how to integrate, we need to make sure that we're really helping them from where they are, moving to that next step and helping them think differently about their practice and always just coaching them to move forward.
Awesome, awesome. So now I want to talk about a conversation that I've had with teachers, and I'm sure you've had those same conversations with teachers. And so they say, well, I'm not going to use the technology because my students have so many skill deficits, and integrating technology won't close those gaps. So how do we respond to teachers in those situations?
So I think that you opened up this conversation and talked about your reflection as a leader, and that was that this is a process.
And so much of how we operate is based off of fear and tradition. And this is very new. And the integration of technology in education is also very new, and we're trying to figure it out. And so I think part of that is trying to build those systems to support teachers and expose them. Most teachers want to see, what does this look like? They want to know, what does that mean? Show me models. Let me see my peers who are, you know, excelling in this already. Let me see what that looks like in the classroom. But I think that we really need to work on building their confidence. And so Dr. Pedro Noguera talks about the achievement gap versus the opportunity gap. And so that mindset is very much focused on that achievement gap and the deficit versus like, what opportunities need to be put in place in order to build teachers' confidence so that they're not asking that question or having that response. Instead, we're broadening their experience in order to build their capacity to say, hey, this is what I'm going to do for my students. Here's how I want my students to communicate, collaborate, create, explore, and to learn. So I think that that's definitely part of that process, but we also need to build in time and time to collaborate, but also to learn how to do this and what this looks like so that they can do this. And I think another part of our response, I'm going to pass it on to Katie right here to kind of address some more specifics to that response.
I think I would just add that that skill deficit narrative really, as Diana was saying, comes from a place of fear and through a really fear-based lens. And I think when we utilize technology and integrate technology effectively in the classroom, we're able to really engage students in a much more powerful kind of way. And the more engaged our students are, the more we're able to sort of self-fully embed some of that skill building within a more robust and higher level kind of learning experience that we can access through the integration of technology.
So it's definitely building that culture of learning, not just for students, which has been traditionally the case in our education system, but for our teachers and our leaders as well.
Mm-hmm. So each teacher has their individual strengths, their subject area knowledge, years of experience, etc. How do you begin to approach personalizing or individualizing PD for teachers?
So Dr. Well, I think that's a really great question, especially for us working with so many different districts, that we really need to personalize what we're doing to support the teaching and learning happening for each classroom and each school site. We work with a personalized professional learning cycle to really make sure that we're hitting those pieces. And before we even start diving into any sort of professional development, we really want to make sure we value the experiences of the teacher, but not only that, all of the stakeholders. So teaming up with our research team, we'll do an initial needs assessment to get an understanding of what the needs are for teachers, for students, for the principal, to really make sure that the work is sustainable and is supported to really align with the vision of technology integration. So with that may come some protocols to facilitate that discussion so that the stakeholders are really owning the work and really having a voice in shaping that vision. Emily, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, so as Kim mentioned, it's just really important to honor those teachers' experience and their expertise. So it's important to provide them opportunities where they might be able to be an expert in something.
So, but what do you do? Because I'm going to throw this out there since you said that. And since all of you, okay, are the experts, I'm going to throw this out there to you. So what do you do when you meet a teacher and, ooh, I hope I don't get fired from this question. You survey them. And in the survey, the teachers are like, I don't want the Chromebooks in my class. I don't want to be bothered. And when you ask them, hey, how can we work together? How can I work with you to get better? They say, so-and-so, I just have to put something down on this paper because I'm told to put something down on this paper. How do you work with those teachers?
So I think that, you know, it's a process, and we've all been there, but I think it comes from the leadership and the shared expectations. So kind of the framework of tight but loose. So if there is a vision and expectation within a school district or at the site level, which is what we begin with developing to make sure people have shared ownership of that. But once those expectations are set, and this is where people are moving, there has to be clear indicators of success. So it's not just the early adopters or a few people who want to, but if this is what we truly believe is good for kids, and this is the direction that we're moving forward, then those expectations need to be set. And then there needs to be a shared response, shared accountability for meeting those outcomes. So working together, if there is a teacher and the expectation is that they're using the technology to integrate and collaborate with people, then that would be the expectation. I would show them step by step how to do that. And then we would have expectations and work together. We would open the classroom, go visit one another to make sure they're understanding their role. And one of the things we always love to do is bring student work. You know, bring in evidence of what you're doing and how you're pushing learning forward. So it's a collaborative norm rather than it's just something you're telling a teacher to do and you're checking off the checklist. Because as soon as you make it something that is kind of low level and you walk into a classroom and I'm checking you off, and it becomes compliance. And then you're not going to see the high level learning. So expectations and holding people accountable, checking, coaching, collaboration are ways that we have found to support that development, and making sure that there's a tight expectation, but then there's opportunities for teachers to meet that expectation in diverse ways.
I think also part of that, Dr. Will, is also really looking at how we are assessing teachers and what we are assessing them on. So shifting a culture from assessing teachers on student test scores versus the teaching and learning that's happening in the classroom. And I think more and more what we are seeing within districts is the adoption or adaptation of evaluation systems for teachers that are really moving towards a student-centered classroom where the teacher is a facilitator with the integration of meaningful learning activities and the integration of technology. So we also have to kind of think about those pieces and how it is that we are holding our teachers accountable, just like we do as teachers hold our students accountable.
All right, all right. Now, before we go, I would like to ask you about the greatest lessons you've learned so far working with teachers. What has surprised you the most, and how has your practice changed as a result of your interactions?
Well, you know, working with teachers is absolutely an honor. Everybody on our team has been a teacher, ranging experience from 5 to 15 years, and just are absolutely passionate about the classroom and teaching and the achievement gap closing that, like Diana was speaking about, and just integrating technology in thoughtful ways so that our students are getting the best learning experience. I always say teaching is not for the faint of heart. It's not an easy job. It's not an easy paycheck. It's tough. We all know that. It was really, you know, challenging at times to be with so many students all day, but it's absolutely one of the most rewarding jobs too. So it's our pleasure and honor to support teachers and make that work that they're doing more meaningful. As Katie mentioned earlier, you know, teaching is deeply personal. So it's a privilege for us to be invited into that personal practice and try to develop insights and formulate best practices with teachers. I think what surprised us most is that teachers are so engaged with the learning experience when they're active and thoughtful. Sometimes the professional development that teachers are getting isn't as authentic as they would like for it to be. So we're really seeing that when you thoughtfully design professional development, teachers are able to really grow and engage in cycles of learning, and not just the sit and get PowerPoint of yesteryear, but really think about their own practices deeply and have active adult learning. And our practices have changed in a lot of different ways, but really just with the shifts in the current environment in education, just the things that teachers are being asked to do from a pedagogical standpoint are varied. And so being able to interact with teachers on that level and discuss that with them deeply is really something that we are doing on a really regular basis.
I think one thing we also talked about is that in a lot of ways how teachers are disempowered in coming out of No Child Left Behind and an era of a lot of standardization, that they are so used to being told what to do and having those checklists, and there's a lot of fear and discomfort moving out of that. When there's a lot of freedom, there's kind of a gray area that's challenging to figure out their role and how to use technology in powerful ways when they haven't had the opportunity to be designing the lessons because they were so scripted previously. So it's a hard space for them to fill right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for being on the show. I want to be like y'all when I grow up.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for having us. It's our pleasure.
Excellent. And folks, as always, you'll be able to check out this on the blog and be able to see how you can contact everyone on Twitter. As always, people, be you, EDU, peace.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.